I just want to talk to you about my hometown of Rotherham for a second, right? Because some news has come out today, and I just find it absolutely disgusting. I'm not shocked, but it's disgusting. So many of you will know Rotherham as being the capital of the UK for child sexual exploitation. But last year we hit the headlines again when a protest turned, unfortunately, into a riot at the Holiday Inn Hotel at Mambers in Rotherham. Now, it wasn't the first protest to take place at that hotel. And I'm going to tell you why they protested there, because mainstream media didn't cover this, and it was so frustrating, for me and people within that community, that they felt completely ignored, as per usual, by mainstream media. Now, there's video footage of these immigrants that were placed in the hotel. They've now actually been moved due to the riots. But there was video footage of these men jumping into gardens, for example. While people's in their home felt absolutely terrified. They came to the windows, saw these men, lurking around their homes. I spoke to children as young as 12 years old that had been approached and followed by these men. Weren't just children, it was also women. I spoke to the women as well. I even spoke to a guy that had to escort 3 children back to their homes because he witnessed these men following him. There's also video footage that showed they had huge knives and machetes, and there was also stealing from local businesses, etc. The list goes on. They was doing horrific things, and the politicians weren't doing enough. People didn't feel safe. They didn't feel children and women were safe. Even the men I spoke to didn't feel safe. So that's why the protest was there. Now, whilst we was there, because I actually reported on it, I was working with Urban Scoop at the time. Whilst we was there, because at first it started out peacefully, the immigrants in the windows up above, they started getting out their penises and they fetched the weapons to the window. And that was it. All hell broke loose. And I'm not saying for 1 second it was right to riot, because if I'm honest, I think that's exactly what people such as Keir Starmer wanted. And then we all just got branded as far-right racist thugs. Even I did, and I was just doing my job working there. But anyway, the reason for my post is there's been more people jailed for the Rotherham riot than there has been for raping children. This is mind-blowing to me. I mean, I'm not surprised. Not ever surprises me. But let's just be very clear. Rotherham is the biggest investigation into child rape in British history. The numbers should be through the roof of people in jail. But no, of course not. There's more people that attended riots in jail, which just goes to show what they prioritise the most. And when we're talking about what happened in Rotherham, we're talking about children being abused, raped, tortured, trafficked, criminalised, tortured, impregnated, murdered. And not just in Rotherham. We know this is happening all over the UK. It's going back decades. The Sikh community were even speaking out about this in 1970s because the Sikh girls were being targeted. They was ignored as well. It's absolutely horrific. Now, what's also come to light is, these 5 inquiries with a couple of million chucked at it. They thought that were going to fix everything. Absolute insult when they said that. Absolute insult. I'm not surprised again, though. But anyway, they've announced just before the Easter holidays and in an empty chamber that it's going to be more locally led, which is, going to be a waste of time. They're not going to investigate themselves, are they? An independent investigation needs to happen to every council and every police force in this country. I've been saying it for years. I'm going to keep on saying it because that's how you're going to get the truth to it all. Now, as we know that these politicians and police officers, they've been directly involved in this. They didn't just ignore it because we've been called racist and Islamophobic, because in places such as Rotherham, majority of the perpetrators were Pakistani Muslim men. Majority of the victims were white, female, non-religious children. They was directly involved in abusing and raping kids. The scale of this scandal is insane. They know what they're going to uncover if they push on this, and it's exactly why they are not pushing on it. And I'm not just talking about Labour. I've worked with Labour in the past. Some of the politicians have done some good work. I've worked with Jess Philips in the past. I thought she did some good work. I think she's an absolute waste of space now. Thank God I didn't give Labour my endorsement when they asked. I never would have forgiven myself. But this isn't just about Labour. The Tories, they've been in power for a long time. People like myself, survivors, activists, all over the country, we have met with all of these parties, and even Reform. Well, Nigel Farage has turned into a right wet wipe. So, you know, it's clear to see that we've got no political party that's going to put this at the forefront. But anyway, my point being, I'm not surprised. Because, you know, we were sacrificed for votes back then, and we're being sacrificed for votes right now. But my point being this, just because they've turned a blind eye and they're still covering up, don't mean that people like me will, because we're never going to stop fighting. And I know that there's going to be other survivors, family members, activists, and, you know, I'm not even saying every politician is bad. Because I know that there's some good politicians out there that can fight for us. And I know Rupert Lowe is trying to fight for us. He's got his own inquiry now, which I'm going to be the panel on. So far it's raised over 500,000. Truth is, it's going to be left to people like us to fight for this. And I'm up for that challenge. I'm not going anywhere. So I just want everyone to know that we are gonna still fight for this. And don't lose hope just yet. Hang on to your hope.